In order to effectively sell wireless security systems, this program will help you understand what you need to know about wireless technology. If you think about it, wireless technology is all around us every day. You have radios, TVs, remote controls, cordless and cellular telephones, and garage door openers, just to name a few. These devices illustrate the many uses of wireless technology and how it has become an accepted part of electronic design. The advantages of wireless technology when applied to security systems becomes immediately apparent. Since there are few wires to run, a typical installation takes only half a day and requires minimal amount of drilling. Only AC power, telephone lines, and some touchpads need to be wired. There are very few location restrictions. You can put sensors where they provide the best protection, not where it's easy to run a wire. The system is portable, so if the owner moves, they can take the system with them. And there's one important advantage: reliability. There are almost 3 million ITI wireless devices in use, delivering worry-free performance. This reliability is the result of many years of ITI's engineering research to find the best possible radio frequency and to design and patent the receiver, transmitters, and the transmission signals. Let's take a brief look at how this technology works. First, we had to find the right radio frequency in which to operate. Looking at the spectrum of radio frequencies, ITI selected a tiny window of operation at 319.5 megahertz. Compare this frequency to our competitors' signals on either side. 40 megahertz provides a good range or distance that the signal will travel, but with its long wavelength of 24 feet, it's hard for it to penetrate structures. It's similar to using a cordless telephone and having it cut in and out when you're in a certain area, like the basement. On the other side, 900 megahertz has a short wavelength of only 8 inches and provides excellent structure penetration. But it requires so much power to get good range that battery life becomes far too short. We chose 319.5 megahertz because it provides very good range and a wavelength of 36 inches, while having the ability to penetrate even through small openings. It's a frequency that reflects better off of surfaces normally found in homes and businesses to improve signal range. And since it doesn't require high power like 900 megahertz does, we can apply a relatively high amount of power to the signal while still having a long battery life. ITI maintains an FCC license to operate on this frequency and must follow the strict guidelines set forth by the FCC. Also, the bandwidth of our signal is so narrow within the spectrum of radio frequencies that there's very little chance of interference with our systems from other sources. The Central Processing Unit, or CPU, contains an extremely sensitive crystal-controlled receiver. Crystal-controlled receivers tend to cost slightly more to manufacture, but are very precise, reliable, and stable over a long period of time. It receives information transmitted by radio signals from wireless devices throughout the premises. Both have their frequency set to 319.5 megahertz at the factory. The signals these devices transmit consist of 58 bits of information. This is called a round of data. All of these bits must be transmitted correctly in order for the signal to be understood by the receiver. Within a matter of microseconds, this round of data informs the receiver that it is an ITI transmitter, gives its identification number, tells what type of device it is, the status of the device, whether it has a low battery, and so on. To be sure that the signal is received properly, the device transmits the round 8 times. For example, when a sensor is tripped, it will transmit an alarm signal consisting of 8 rounds. Since each sensor has its own unique identification number, the receiver will know exactly which sensor it is and won't confuse it with any other. When the sensor is restored to its normal state, it will transmit a restore signal. This is also 8 rounds. If the sensor detects a low battery, or if its tamper switch has been tripped, it will transmit the appropriate signal. Every 64 minutes, each wireless device transmits a supervisory signal consisting of 3 rounds. The CPU must receive at least one supervisory signal within each 12-hour period. Otherwise, it will think that the device has failed, prompting a failure condition. Most of ITI's wireless devices are powered by long-life lithium batteries that can last up to 8 years. In effect, the batteries would need to be changed only 2 or 3 times in 20 years. This reduces the worry of having to frequently change sensor batteries, while at the same time dispels the notion of hardwire being more reliable than wireless. And now, sensors and touchpads are available with ITI's patented Learn Mode technology, which was designed to simplify the programming of sensors to the CPU. Each device is encoded at the factory with operating characteristics and its unique identification number. Since there are millions of ID numbers, any number of neighboring systems can be installed in close proximity without worry of restriction or interference. When the installer trips the sensor's tamper switch, it transmits this information, and the CPU receives or learns that information. As a result, the installation of the system becomes faster and easier while minimizing the chance for mistakes. Another exclusive part of ITI's technology is spatial diversity. This technology helps to eliminate dead spots and nulls. A dead spot is an area that the signal cannot penetrate, or it gets bounced or reflected away from the receiver by large objects such as ductwork, refrigerators, filing cabinets, or even large mirrors. A null occurs when a signal bounces and reflects off of objects many times before reaching the receiver. In addition, a signal's waveform has a positive side and a negative side. If 2 of these signals reach the receiver's single antenna at the same time, 180 degrees out of phase, the 2 signals may cancel each other out. ITI developed spatial diversity by adding a second antenna to the receiver that is 1/4 wave apart from the other, and then switches the antennas on and off, back and forth every millisecond. So when the receiver detects a signal, it stops switching the antennas and locks onto the signal. We mentioned that a signal can reflect or bounce off of surfaces. Only ITI's spatial diversity technology can take best advantage of these bounced and reflected signals to enhance the capabilities of the system. If while installing a system you still encounter a dead spot, sometimes simply moving the sensor only a few inches will do the trick. In really tough situations, an extended range amplified receiving antenna can be used. Now let's take a look at some of the wireless devices that can be used in a typical ITI Caretaker Plus system. The wireless wall mount touchpad can be placed almost anywhere in the premises without having to run wires to it. It provides all the functions of the hardwire touchpad except for sensor programming. It includes a mounting plate for wall mounting that allows the user to easily remove it if necessary. Up to 4 wireless touchpads can be used with a Caretaker Plus. The handheld touchpad is also wireless, yet it's pocket-sized and lightweight. It too provides all the functions of the hardwire touchpad except for sensor programming, and can also be wall-mounted. Again, up to 4 wireless touchpads can be used with the Caretaker Plus. The wireless interior Siren can produce Siren and status sounds and can be plugged into any non-switch 110-volt AC outlet in the premises. It receives its signals from the CPU via the optional ITI line carrier transformer, which sends the signals through the AC power lines in the house. In the event of a power failure, its backup battery will allow it to continue operating. The door window sensor is the most widely used sensor because of its many possible applications. By utilizing its built-in reed switches, along with the accompanying magnet, it can be used on anything that opens and closes, like doors, windows, jewelry cases, gun cabinets, silverware drawers, or in a business, use it on file cabinets, safes, drug cabinets, showcases, and so on. It also has built-in screw terminals for connecting an external hardwire device. For example, if the site has a hardwire loop already in place, you can use the loop by connecting it to these screw terminals. The door window sensor is also available in a slimline style. Its narrower size allows it to be used in tight situations. For example, use it on windows with small frames. However, the slimline door window sensor does not include built-in screw terminals for external hardwire devices. Another style is the recessed mount door sensor. It provides a clean, almost invisible installation. The transmitter is installed in the door jamb, and the press-fit magnet is installed in the door. The motion sensor employs passive infrared technology to help detect the body heat of an intruder. Its sensitivity and coverage areas can be adjusted to fit the size and configuration of almost any room. There are even patterns that allow for the movement of dogs and cats, yet will detect the movement of a burglar. Portable panic sensors let you activate an alarm during an emergency in or near the premises without wasting precious time dialing a telephone. The one-button model is typically mounted on a wall, and a two-button model decreases the chances of an accidental false alarm when carried about. You might want one next to the bed, in a purse, in a car, or next to a cash register. The pendant panic sensor is especially valuable for people with health problems or elderly people requiring assistance. It's small enough to be worn easily around the neck and can be activated by pressing the push button on the bottom. The water-resistant pendant panic sensor can even be worn while you're taking a shower or bathing in a tub. It can be worn around the neck, worn using the built-in belt clip, or it can be mounted on a wall. The smoke sensor is a high-quality photoelectric type that can help detect a slow, smoldering, smoky fire. When activated, it will transmit a signal to the CPU, along with sounding its own built-in horn and flashing its indicator light. The rate of rise sensor is really two sensors in one. It has a fixed temperature thermostat that can help detect a fire if the room reaches 135 degrees. It also has a fast response rate of rise thermostat that can help detect the unusually rapid temperature increase, which only flames from a fire would cause. Use it in places where smoke may occur normally, such as kitchens or garages. Also use it to protect large open areas, such as warehouses. The freeze sensor helps detect furnace failure long before damage can occur. It has a built-in thermostat and can send a signal to the CPU anytime the room temperature drops below 45 degrees. The sound sensor is designed to respond only to the frequencies generated by breaking glass. It's best used to protect large areas of glass when the system is in the away mode and when no one is on the premises. The Intellisense Sound sensor is a dual technology glass break detector that features two separate microphones. One microphone detects ultra-low frequencies, the kind produced by the flexing of the glass. The other microphone detects the higher frequencies of breaking glass. Both of these frequencies must be detected within a defined amount of time in order to activate an alarm. It won't be activated by sounds such as a barking dog or sneezing. The glass guard sensor can be used on stationary glass, such as homes with large picture windows and for businesses with large storefront glass. It mounts directly on the glass to detect the specific frequencies of breaking glass. The shock sensor works like a door window sensor, but also detects the shattering of glass. It's ideal for use on sliding patio doors. If the window slides open, the built-in reed switch, along with the accompanying magnet, detects it. However, if a burglar smashes the window without opening it, the shock sensor will also detect the glass shattering frequencies. We hope this program has been informative for you. Of course, there are many other variables involved when designing an installation. If you have any questions that were not addressed in this program, feel free to call ITI today.